Hello and welcome back to our special AI edition of Standard Room with Breakfast, where I'm joined by Phung from HBAI Consulting. If this is your first time tuning in, be sure to check out the first chapter. In this chapter, we will be talking about how AI can be used across pricing, distribution, and the guest experience. So what are the new capabilities that are emerging, and what are the key considerations for hotels as they turn to more automated and smarter ways of pricing their rooms?
Where I'm seeing is which is really exciting development is AI powered pricing. So it's quite different to the traditional mission like algorithm based pricing, which is the old revenue management tools. These tools are no longer just reaching to occupancy; they're pulling real time data, the data from demand signals, market trends from other industries, competitor rates. So scraping it has the ability to scrape data across browsers from websites. It looks at booking patterns across various sources and even local weather reports, right? Weather will affect, like let's say you're in Gold Coast and there's a tornado coming or a flood coming, that's gonna kill your whole revenue strategy, right?
It's like I just brought to mind, like sometimes it's really the real-time data that matters, right? It's like, I mean,
100%.
yes, you would want to know when events are happening in the future, but if an event gets canceled today, you want to know that right away, right? So that instancy of having access to data that really will impact, bookings and cancellations is key, and would simply not have been available, a few years ago,
100%.
or even.
And the ability to respond to
Very
that
cool.
is kind of make or break, right, in terms of profitability. If you can anticipate before your competitors, you can make some pretty strategic decisions around what to do next. And so some tools, what I've seen is it can simulate multiple pricing scenarios, which is quite a game changer. It help revenue team make better decisions without spending hours in a spreadsheet. A lot of times I've seen old school revenue tools. You have to okay, this doesn't factor in certain scenarios, so now I have to bring my pricing out into a spreadsheet and manually key in those scenarios. And that's quite time consuming. So these new generation tools they can create multiple scenarios, and AI can also detect patterns with human kind of analytic like BA type of behavior, and so that which you traditionally might miss, and suddenly you can shift the booking pace to like a new competitor and undercut rates. So that's what I've kind of seen there. Probably the key
Mm.
consideration I would say around this technology is trust. Hotels should start with maybe like a hybrid model where I suggest the rate changes and revenue teams can validate and override as they go, as they start building trust. And once the confidence is built in the system and it goes to full automation mode, I think that's where, it needs,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a journey, I would say. Like you don't be responsible for.
I agree. I agree. As the product manager of Dynamic Revenue Plus, talking to revenue managers, one thing we realize it's you can't just give me a
Yeah,
price. Like I want to have the context around why you are making particular, or why a system is making particular decisions or the recommendations. And I want to be able to walk through, and it needs to be very contextual. Like all of the information needs to be at my fingertips, and then I'd like to be in a position to approve. And maybe eventually I'll want to automate, right? But initially you have to build that trust with me, which is, I think, a very important point here.
100%.
Um, if you look at distribution, right, like thinking for a moment at all of the ways that, travelers are booking today, whether it's directly, via the property's website, via social media or third party channel, OTA, what impact do you see AI having on distribution in the near and longer term future? And how can hotels prepare themselves? Like, is there anything they can do to adjust themselves now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a critical space. Distribution has become more complex as this new technology kind of evolves. Guests do bounce around between channels, price check in real time. And one thing they do expect is personalized offers where they land, right? They don't want that very cookie cutter. Here's your standard best available rate. And what AI is helping hotels to do is that manage the complexity around optimizing those rates across each channel in real time, right? So we're also seeing AI surface the insights in which channel it performs better. So which segmentation or which types of imagery or messaging converts better. So that's the type of things that AI can do. The next generation e-commerce tools, you could say, infused So that enables we call it micro optimization. It just enables that tradition that's quite manual. You can use AI to kind of optimize that single view on how you're performing. Some hotels are using AI to drive direct bookings via a personalized office. Not a lot of people are doing that, but larger groups are using their websites to. Once you land on the website, they've invested quite heavily on a CRM infused direct booking. So they actually are tracking you from Facebook all the way to Google, and once you land on the website, that offer is quite unique to you, and that's how they can convert better, right? It's the ability to detect you and provide that. And most importantly is, if they've got a CRM reference point that you've booked across the entire chain, there's a high chance of them converting you because they've catered to maybe with a red wine package or something like that.
And if you look a little bit further out in terms of and now in the search landscape, there's a lot more around AI, using AI to search, whether it's a tool like Perplexity or even Google is now providing zero-click
Yeah,
kind of solutions, and probably a lot more to see in the market that we don't even understand yet. All of the OpenAI players are now moving towards integrating web search. Um, do you see this impacting in any ways? Like, how should hotels be preparing themselves for that? Is that something that is even relevant or not?
yeah, it 100% is relevant. The meta search capability, enables like Google, the Googles. ChatGPT still requires a partner to provide that source data. So they're actually directly infused with Google API to service that data. So hoteliers, I think they need to really look at their tech stack and find partners that have that direct capability, that direct meta search capability, so they can compete with Google. Right now, I've been in the conference where I've seen no one quite understands how ChatGPT ranks the top five best luxury hotels, for example. Like if you were to surface top five best luxury hotels in Sydney, but eventually that will be a space that will be monetized. So it will be like a search engine optimization capability, but it will be a chat GPT optimization, right? You would have to pay to be on the top list. And so that requires a very sophisticated, innovative partner, right? To have forward thinking on how to plug into these gaps, right? Because with these Gen Zs and more younger generation, they don't jump on Google anymore. They're on some sort of favorite generative AI app to power their entire life. Right?
Probably also some of the older generations.
Exactly.
No, I think, and there's probably a lot we still,
Yeah.
even OpenAI needs to learn. I think because it's not a deterministic system, and not everything is clear how it actually comes and generates these answers. It's more probabilistic. I think to- controlling that is going to be a challenge even on their end. But yeah, very very interesting times. Um, in terms of AI powered personalization, right? Because booking per se is a, obviously one area of personalization, but there's a lot more that, a guest in a hotel would expect. Can you share some specific examples of how hotels are using these insights to actually enhance the experience of their
Yeah,
guests?
definitely. Personalization is where AI really elevates the guest experience, moving from beyond just saying hi, your first name, and to your email. Like what AI is enabling hotels to do is anticipate guests before they ask for it. So one project I use AI to map guest preferences across multiple stays. And if a guest stays regularly booked via, like for example, they booked spa treatments or they prefer late check-in every time they stay with the group, the system could only offer those at the right time and no extra input needed, right? Having that kind of infused, they call it a customer data platform where you infuse your entire like data ecosystem into your customer profile. Another example is using AI to tailor in-room settings, such as restaurant recommendations based on past behavior. That's quite trendy. We're seeing some really sophisticated restaurant CRMs that infuses into the HR, the hotel ecosystem. And the beauty is that AI makes this very scalable. Once you've created this capability, you can start offering it at a very fast scale. Right? You can have a single profile
I was wondering about scalability because to some extent, I think at this point in time, it's always, well, you need to have information already on the guest. Ideally, the guest would have stayed with you, and then there's more personalized services that you can offer at the back of it. But obviously, this guest has been staying at a number of different hotels, like, the ability to access that data or even just data of a guest profile that is going to be 90% like the guest that will be joining you would be very, very useful to be a little bit more proactive in the space. Have you seen any innovation, anything around that?
Yeah, there is. I've worked with some platforms where they're accelerating that space. It's very bespoke though. There's no off the shelf. So it's a very bespoke um, the customer data platform where it's just sucking numerous amount of data from every source, from PMS to CRS to your channel manager, and it's analyzing, it's mapping, it's cleaning, and it provides that 360 view, and it actually provides very predictive insights to your booking engine, to your point of sale system, to your PMS system. So it's powerful, but it's a seven-figure investment. These type of innovation, it's not
Mhm.
something that a small hotelier can do.
Yeah, I was wondering about the small independent hotels. Like, it sounds like a bit daunting, right? So there's all of these potential investments in areas that you can, advance. What's the smartest way for a small independent hotel to go about it and get up to speed and implement AI solutions that are really having a meaningful impact for them?
It's a total valid concern, but the good news is AI is more accessible than ever. You don't need a big tech team or a budget to start seeing results. I always suggest starting small. One use case is about what's causing you the most pain, right? One of the areas I've seen is manual OTA reconciliation. It's a lot of work for a reservation and revenue team, right? You have to reconcile all that data, all that reporting on a weekly basis. Guest email replies also, it is quite daunting. Your inbox can flood quite quickly in a moment's notice. So having that, leveraging tools that provide that AI generative response, will eliminate a lot of that work. And social media content creation is also quite whether you can perform better that month or not is also depends on how well you're externally advertising right across the multiple channels, TikTok, Instagram. Particularly if you're in the full service and food and beverage space, you want to be having good content out there, and that's how you kind of have that higher conversion rate. Tools like
Yeah.
Microsoft
And
365 and platforms, those are no-brainers. It's safe, it's secure. Small hoteliers can plug in and start learning how the tool kind of brings that type of innovation to the. So test it, measure the outcome, build some confidence. Once they've got a few quick wins, it becomes easier to scale and prioritize the next level, before you make that big investment.
yeah. And in terms of the social media as a channel, do you see any changes coming now that, these social medias will be, primarily flooded or driven by AI generated content? Or is that just something that, do you see any kind of early indicators where the space is moving that would be relevant for hotels?
Yeah, like TikTok, for example, one of the fastest growing social media platform. The way they use AI to convert customers is quite clever, right? The content, um, it's their conversion rate is higher than Google. I've seen some recently seen some statistics, and so what they do is they look at their algorithm is they know how to throw content at people that attracts them relevance. So like, let's say you're searching, if they have a whiff that you're searching for a trip in Vietnam, what they would be doing is getting the best influencer content and making sure it's coming up front and center every day when you're looking at and there because of that reason they're throwing that AI content at you. Your conversion rate is a lot higher, and they will have a book me now button for a hotel right there. So that's where we're seeing the trend shifting. Right? It's
Mm.
particularly Japan. It is influence led in China.